Hey guys, my name is Matsumiao, and welcome to our episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. The first question for today is, what do you think about IQ getting an upgrade where she can mark traps for her teammates? What I find funny about this suggestion isn't the actual idea itself, because I honestly really like it, and we'll get to that here in a second, is the fact that people are still thinking that IQ needs a buff, even though everyone thinks that she is going to be a better operator every single time a new DLC releases. When Valkyrie was first introduced, everyone thought that IQ was going to be awesome for the offensive team to ensure that you could find the Valkyrie cameras. Lo and behold, that's not what happened whatsoever. People would rather bring something or a gadget a bit more useful to the table and just take and find those Valkyrie cameras with their eye and take them down that way. When Echo was first introduced, they thought that IQ would see a lot more popularity. It seems like for the first couple of weeks that might be the case, but then she drops off like a rock after that. With this most recent DLC, we literally have traps that are nearly invisible, and she still doesn't see any play. And so I think this begs the question, maybe they need to take a look at what makes IQ not as appealing as some of the other operators, and then address that issue, and not just think that by bringing in more gadgets, all of a sudden she's just gonna be a better pick. And so with your suggestion, I think that this would be a decent step in the right direction. One of the weaknesses I have with IQ is that a lot of times I know that a gadget is in a location. Let's say I know that there is an Elamine behind a doorway, but it can be a bit difficult to communicate with my teammates unless they're directly next to me the entire time where exactly it is. And so it'd be kind of nice if I could just quickly spot it really quickly, and then for maybe like 30 seconds, it's spotted for everyone on my team. Maybe they would need to tone it down so you can only have a couple of gadgets spotted, because it'd be a bit ridiculous if the IQ on your team spotted every single gadget. That might clutter up your UI and make it difficult just to see what's happening in front of you. That would be something that we want to avoid. But this could just be an easy, great way at facilitating teamwork for the offensive team, and honestly could make IQ one of the best counters to this trap meta. If the enemy team is running a Legion, an Ela, a Capcan, all three of them, you bring an IQ who's able to spot that is going to make it so much easier for the offensive team to work around those traps. That invisible Legion trap, not a problem anymore, especially just for the IQ. She spots it really quickly from a couple rooms away, then when you're walking towards it with your primary weapon out, you're gonna be able to take that down no problem. This honestly could finally make IQ the operator that she's always meant to be, I feel, which is the person who's supposed to counter gadgets. Find them, spot them, and take them down, and this would be a huge step in the right direction. Now, the one thing that we do have to consider about this suggestion, though, is would it make IQ too powerful and make all of the trap operators obsolete? Now, I know some people might be excited about this news because they hate the trap meta, but these operators should have a place. Like, they should have their role, and if IQ is able just to completely counter them with no thought really, then that might be pushing things too far. Why play as Legion if you're supposed to have a stealthy gadget, but it's not stealthy anymore because they have an IQ? This could also just make IQ a required choice for the offensive team, and that's something that Ubisoft also wants to avoid. They never want to have an operator that is required for either side. If you need to have an IQ to counter the trap meta because it just makes it a lot easier to avoid them and push the objective a lot faster, well then that limits the variety for your entire team. If you need to have an IQ that fills up that slot, that fifth slot, now you only have 4 other choices. They never want to have that in Rainbow Six Siege. And so let me know what you guys think about this. Do you have similar concerns that this might make her too powerful? Do you think this would be an amazing buff to IQ and finally make her a viable choice? Let me know down below in the comment section. The next question is, what do you think about an operator in Siege that has a drone which launches cameras into a room on offense? It would be an operator that encourages teamwork, and this way attackers can give more intelligence. Now that is admittedly one of the more unique operator ideas that I've heard in quite some time. A drone that can throw cameras. I'm not sure how good this would be. Like, on the one hand, it could be amazing. If you're able to get this into the objective room, get a camera onto one side of it, and then drive away, or they don't realize that it's there, that could literally win you the round. If you're able to know exactly where the enemy team is with basically a Valkyrie camera inside the objective, making callouts, that could win the game for your team simply because of that information. Like, that would be incredible. But how often are you going to be able to get a drone in the objective room without the enemy knowing and also toss a camera onto a wall. I'm assuming it's gonna make noise. I mean, a lot of times I know where a Valkyrie camera is because it makes a very loud audible sound when it lands on a wall. I'm assuming this would also make some sound. And so how often would this actually occur? Even if you're not able to get into the objective room, it could also be very valuable. Imagine for a second, you suspect that there is an enemy roamer in the room adjacent to you. You have a couple of options at that point. You could drone him out, which is usually the right call. You want to figure out where he's located so he doesn't get the surprise on you. But the problem with that is that the drones make a lot of noise, and as soon as he takes out your drone, well, you're out of drones, and also he knows that he got spotted, so he's gonna switch where he's located so that you no longer have the information. Well, instead of doing that, well, what if you already had the forethought of this drone operator who can toss cameras on the wall? You just pop into that camera drone, spot out the entire room, if it works much like a Valkyrie camera, pinpoint exactly where he's located. He's not gonna hear the drone, he's not gonna know that he's spotted, then rush on in with that information and take him down. That could be pretty awesome. And so, yeah, the more they think about this, the more I like the idea. No, it could be terrible, it could be worthless. It's hard to say unless we actually had our hands on this guy and were able to play it with multiple hours, because it does need to compete with all the other amazing operators that we have on offense. But if you're a team that has the foresight, the forethought to place these in locations where you're assuming there's gonna be a lot of traffic for the defensive team, this could be an amazing operator at catching them by surprise and could be a really cool addition into Siege. The next question comes from Max and it is, what do you think about an operator in Rainbow Six Siege that can throw down a scanner on a doorway, window, or any place an enemy can pass through, and when the enemy does walk on by, it will trigger a siren like on the map Bank? So I'm assuming you're talking about the metal detectors on Bank, and this would just give you an early warning sign for your entire team, like, hey, watch out, someone's coming from this direction, and I don't think this is a bad idea. The only reason I don't think that this is actually gonna happen, though, is that that's pretty much exactly what Lesion does, but Lesion does something more than that, and that's that he slows down the enemy's progress and also does a little damage along the way as well. If you take a look at Lesion, while he is meant to slow down the progress, like, his design is an early proximity alarm. Like, that's exactly what he's meant to be. Like, when I play as him, I don't necessarily try to slow down the progress necessarily to get to the objective. I mean, that's one nice benefit of him, but I usually camp on one side of the map where I'm assuming the enemy's gonna be coming from, toss all of these around the doorways to kind of watch my backside, and so as soon as the enemy gets a flank off on me, I know they're there, and then hopefully I can take advantage of that and win the firefights. And so we then need to ask ourselves the question, would this new operator really bring anything new to the table? Yes, it'd be more obvious for everyone on defense that someone's coming from that direction, but as long as Lesion is making those callouts, he's watching out where his traps are being triggered, he can do that already. And so I think for that very reason, while I'm not completely opposed to the idea, because I love Lesion right now, I think he's an awesome operator, I don't think having a metal detector siren operator is something that is necessarily needed right now in Rainbow Six Siege because we already kind of have it. The next question is, what do you think about adding DLC recruits to Rainbow Six? For example, letting them use DLC weapons. So this has been something that I've always wondered about, why they've made this distinction that the recruits never get the DLC weapons. One thought that I had was, oh, they don't want people to play as recruits because if they haven't paid for the season pass or if they haven't bought those operators, they don't want them to use those DLC weapons, like you need to pay for it. But that's kind of a weak argument because they could just make it really easy where if you have those operators or if you have the season pass, then you're able to unlock it for the recruit. The other thing I can think of is maybe they just don't want it to be too cluttered. If you've ever tried to customize the recruit at the start of the round, there's a lot of options. You have to go through each and every single one of the different factions. You then need to find the weapon. You need to find like all the different gadgets that you want. And it's a little daunting. If they did that for every single DLC, it might get a bit too ridiculous. Now, an easy solution to this would just be allowing players to customize their loadouts in the main menu like every other operator. You can't do that right now, and so if that was an option, that wouldn't be a problem anymore. Another reason why they may not want to give out the DLC weapons is that they just simply don't want to incentivize people to play as the recruit class. Imagine if the Scorpion, for example, was available to recruits. How much of a nightmare would that be on defense or playing as the attacking team if everyone you had to fight against was with that overpowered weapon? Now, they have nerfed it, which is great. It's in a much better place right now. But if that weapon was available to everyone for the defensive team, I know with a shadow of a doubt that people would play it just simply so they had access to that weapon. That may also be something they want to avoid. At the end of the day, though, these are just guesses because I truly do not know why Ubisoft has made this distinction. It could be for some of these reasons, it could be something completely different. I have absolutely no idea. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's episode of Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Do you like the idea of having a drone that can toss out cameras? Do you think that's a bad idea? Let me know down below in the comment section. As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can also leave a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.